Alrighty, yo, what is up, Knights? Just Rick here, bringing you guys episode 7 of the Arad Airways podcast. Now, guys, honestly, in terms of recording, like real lifetime, it has only been about a week since the last recording I did for the episode 6 of this series. And usually I would wait for more time to pass, at least a couple of weeks, right, for more time to pass so I can have more things to talk about. But it just so happens that we're in the perfect storm of things to talk about. A lot of controversy going on right now. People are talking about several threads about it, and there's just a lot going on with DFO right now that is worth a lot of people's attention, so I thought I should make a podcast and talk about all those things. It should be noted that we're still going to be keeping the same format, but I'm going to go a little bit out of order, okay? But we're still going to be doing the current news, controversial news, current updates in the game, as well as future updates, and I have topics on all of those. But we're going to do them a little bit out of order this time, since I feel like some of them are more important than others. The first thing, we're actually going to bring the current/controversial news to the front, and we're going to talk about, well, there's really two things to talk about there. One is they removed Neopremium out of the coin shop. Big deal. And then finally, the current package sale. I always feel like this is a topic, at least in the recent months, this is something I could have talked about, and I already have in one of these podcasts, either episode 3 or 4. I kind of talked about it then. We'll talk about it now, and I hope this is the last time I'll have to bring it up, but it's definitely noticeable, the trend that we're seeing with the package sales, but we'll talk about that. Next thing we got to talk about is the jump server, guys. I mean, the jump server, I know I just talked about it last week. We didn't get all the news until it was actually released, or a couple days before it was actually released, and it's different than what we thought. It's even more important, so hopefully you guys are in the jump server, like, before you're even listening to me. You better be in the jump server, because it's seriously a big deal, and just with how the events work, it's something that are better when you do it sooner rather than later. And lastly, actually, guys, this has kind of gone under the radar with some of this other stuff that's going on in the server, our current server, but in KDNF, they've actually gotten maybe 4 or 5 class reworks, mostly just like either one skill added or one kind of gameplay thing added, which I think is really good because they're kind of looking at these older classes. Female Striker, again, getting a look. She's probably the most inspected class in the whole game, honestly. She keeps getting all these fucking changes. But anyway, we'll talk about all those things in this podcast. So without further ado, let's go. First things first, this is on the forefront of everybody's mind because honestly, I played the server right when it came off of maintenance. I was there right away, and I was playing on the jump server. Now, whoever was on the regular server was noticing that they had removed the Neopremium contract from Canada's coin shop. And if you don't know what this is, basically, if you have Neopremium Plus, it was made perfectly self-sustainable, honestly, if you had Neopremium Plus, because you could do optimal level dungeons and you'll get Neopremium tokens, and then you can use those tokens to essentially get yourself more Neopremium Plus. And it's a way a lot of us veterans have racked up several, like almost a year's worth easily, if you're really diligent, like a year's worth of Neopremium Plus, because you get 7 days of Neopremium Plus if it drops, or if it comes out of the coin shop, which is honestly, it's pretty consistent how often it happens, but suffice it to say, it's a great way if you just played the game to just have it permanently, and a lot of veterans have that. Unfortunately, though, this aspect of the coin shop has been removed, and to add insult to injury, as people have put it, they have replaced that item with a single Terranium. Not even a refined Terranium, just a Terranium. And we're like, what the fuck? Either remove it completely, or honestly, all the other items in the shop are worth more than 1 Terranium. Just remove it completely to replace it with this bullshit, dude. You could have gotten another Canada's bread, but instead you got 1 Terranium. You know, you get 6 of those per dungeon, right? Kind of makes it feel as though whoever made the replacement, obviously they had a job to do, they had to replace it, but they didn't, like, do they not play DFO? That item is 100% useless. So anyway, despite that joke, I gotta say, I am not surprised that they did this. In fact, I am honestly more surprised that we even got it at all. Let's go back in time when they actually implemented this feature, okay? This has got to be about 2 years ago, I want to say. Like, I've made guide videos that are pretty old now that reference this, and I'd had it for a long time already. I'd already had years of it farmed up. They've had it for a long time. I want to say it's about 2 years. And at the time that they released it, I was flabbergasted, honestly. I was like, what? That you can just farm it for free? Like, I am racking up so many days. I did not believe it because it didn't make any sense to me in a financial sense. Like if I'm going to sit in Neople's shoes and I'm going to have a premium service like this, every other game in existence, would make it so that, this is premium thing and you got to pay for it, right? This is how we entice people to make money. Some people do it with the loot box bullshit. Well, this game is not completely focused around that. There is a loot box aspect with the bind cubes, but I would say most of their money making is from the packages, and they could have made some money with the premium services that they offer. But when they implemented this feature, I was like, well, they're planning then not to make any money off of this. Like, if you make it like this, the people who are most likely going to be purchasing this anyway are your hardcore players, and they're going to be playing, and they're going to be completely self-sustainable, and it's going to be completely out of your realm to expect anybody to buy this when they can get it in this manner. And so I was flabbergasted. Honestly, I thought we were pretty spoiled that we had that, but of course abused it to the maximum ability right now. And I guess the only unfortunate thing is if you're coming new into the game, or if you didn't have a lot of time to farm up a lot of coins, and honestly you didn't need much time, you can just start racking up months and months like pretty damn quickly. But it's unfortunate for you guys who have not been able to capitalize, and now you have to deal with it because it's been so long. And that's kind of my main kind of question about it. Yes, I'm surprised that we had it at all, honestly. So them removing it is no surprise to me. I was like, dude, I'm surprised we even had it. Okay, you're removing it. But okay, there's a couple things wrong with how they decided to do it. First of all, I'm a little bit in question as to why they decided to do it now after 2 years, right? It's almost as if they didn't even know, like, oh shit, that's why we're not making any money off of Neopremium Plus, because nobody's buying it because it's in this thing, and they can get infinite amount. Let's go ahead and fix that. But the thing is, they've had it for 2 years now, and they haven't been making any money off of it for 2 years. Are they really strapped for cash right now, where they're like, okay, we're gonna have to try and corner this market on the Neopremium Plus? If it was a mistake back then, it's been a mistake for 2 years, and you're not going to be able to recover from that mistake is what I'm getting at here. You cannot recover from it because all the people who would normally be purchasing this kind of thing have already got unlimited stock of it, right? The only way you can kind of corner that market is if you just remove everybody's Neopremium Plus and then you try to get them to buy it again. It's just too late is what I'm saying. It's too little too late for them to try and make money off of this. When you go back on it after we've had it for so long, it's become like a standard thing. I have it mentioned in guides and stuff how awesome this feature is. When you go that far back, it just doesn't make any sense financially now, because you're just kind of taking away what would seem to be a core feature of the game. For what? So you can get maybe 1 or 2 new customers with your premium scheme that you fucked up from the start because everybody else already has it. So this is kind of why I think this change coincides with the jump server, because they maybe are envisioning that we're going to get a lot of new players or returning players who don't have Neopremium. This is why I suspect that they wanted to remove that from the shop, because they also want these new players to come back, or new players to start playing the game, and then we want to start fresh. We don't want to have an infinite influx of Neopremium Plus. We want them to buy it. So yeah, I can see why they did it. I just think that the damage is already done, and you're going to piss off more people by doing it now, because like I said, it's a feature that everybody who's had it has been enjoying it for this long, that I think you're going to piss off more people that could be, potential constant spenders than you are trying to nickel and dime off the new player. So it's kind of a give and take. Like I said, I'm not complaining that they're removing it. I'm surprised that they had it. Honestly, I'm honestly surprised about that. Here is the controversy, though. Okay, here's why most people are mad. Neople did not tell anyone that they would do this. Why that is there is no excuse for that. Okay, I've been sitting here saying, I'm not surprised that they removed it. I am surprised that they didn't tell anybody that they were going to remove it. Why would they not tell anybody that? Why would they not tell anybody that? This would be the one way to make sure that, okay, if you want to capitalize on the brand new players, by forcing them to buy Neopremium Plus because they don't have a stockpile of it like everybody else. This is the one way that you alleviate the problem. You tell all of the current players right now that you're planning to remove this in the next update, so they have time. So they have time to prepare, so they don't get blindsided by this ninja patch and then get fucking pissed that they have coins that they didn't spend, or whatever unfortunate thing might have happened. It doesn't make any sense why they didn't tell anyone. This is the only real controversy that comes out of this, honestly, that I see. Honestly, I'm okay with them removing that out of the shop. Most everybody has already abused it to the max, and I'm surprised we had it anyway. But the real controversy is, why didn't you tell us? What the fuck? I don't know how many people were storing up all of their coins. I heard some people, they have hundreds of coins on various characters. I'm like, dude, it's harder to hold on to those coins than it is to just spend them. Dude, when I get 100 in my account storage, I just fucking spend them, because you can only get a stack of 100. It was kind of the fortunate thing about it. You can't rack up 900 or 1,000 of those things in your storage. You can only get up to 100, and then you need to have another stack of them and located somewhere else. So if you didn't spend them, I feel bad for you, because you had no idea that this change would happen. But at the same time, dude, you should have spent them. But you know, this is one of those things that isn't very defensible, right? You didn't even tell. It's like if they reset the mileage but didn't tell us our mileage was going to reset. Like, why didn't you tell us our mileage was going to reset if you were going to reset it? Why didn't you tell us that you're removing an item from a shop when we have the currency to and potential to get it now? It's like you were trying to ninja pull the wool over the veteran player's eyes. For what reason? They already have years worth of Neopremium Plus. Why are you going to try to pull the wool over and pull a fast one on us? We are not the people that are going to be angry for you removing it, but at least tell us you're going to remove it, dude. You can see what the problem is here, right? I don't think very many people would have been very angry if Neople would have just said in the patch note, by the way, next update, we're removing this item from Cannon Shop. Don't fucking ninja nerf and put a Terranium in its place. What the fuck, Neople? More current news, though. All right, the next topic we're going to be talking about is Neople's package trend, okay? It goes without saying, Neople's primary source of making money, I believe. I truly, 100, like, without a doubt. There's gacha in this game. There's, you know, the skeleton keys in the gacha. You might think loot boxes are primary way for this game to make money. No. There is a much more consistent way for Neople to make money, and that is with their package sales. And ever since, I want to say about 2 years ago, ever since the release of the Olympus package, where they allowed multiple package purchases to get you bonus items, ever since then, there's been a slow and steady trend of making more and more desirable items come out of that multiple purchase things. And as you can probably imagine as to where I'm going to be going with this package sale is no different. But actually, it's a little bit more egregious, because the package itself, the White Beast package, is actually not all that great. I mean, quantifiably, I think there has been more useful items in other packages. Probably one of the better things that comes out of this is the pet itself. It's the first time we've ever gotten an Eleanor pet. I kind of want that for memes, but as most people will tell you, Eleanor is a stat that is going to be abundant. Well, it already is in level 90 gear, as well as 95 gear. So the thing that actually becomes more relevant is more older modifiers, such as smash modifiers. So smash and crit smash are modifiers that are more desirable. So it turns out that the better pets are going to be actually the older pets when we had smash mods and crit mods. So it turns out that not even the pets are very good. The title is pretty mediocre. It's a smash mod title. So if you don't have one already, there have been better ones in the past, but it's all right. The costumes, honestly, I hate the look of all of these. I'm not into the cutesy look personally, but I'm just gonna say right off the bat, guys, I don't like any of the items in this package, and I don't think it's worth the $32 price tag on it personally. Now that's just for, you know, in a sense of looking at the package itself. That's how you should really look at it compared to what packages we've got in the past, to determine whether or not you want it. The one thing that kind of frustrates me is that the pet actually is not selectable. I have no idea why they didn't think to make the pet selectable. All of them have different stats and they're pretty comparable at what they do, but why is it random and account bound once I open it? It's kind of bullshit. The package, I don't think it's worth it in terms of the items that are actually in it, but here's the kicker, okay? The pet that I was talking about that isn't all that great does have a lot of perks with it, if and only if you get extra items, if you purchase more than one package, which I already mentioned right now is a pretty mediocre package. It's probably not worth the price, but if you purchase up to 10 packages, you will get rewards for every subsequent package that you purchase. So at the 4 purchase mark and the 8 purchase mark, What you get is going to be something called the Beast Stone. You can get this at 4 and 8 purchases, and what it's going to do is going to add an extra effect onto your creature that comes out of this package. It's going to give it +1 to your level 15 up to level 35 skills, which is an effect we've seen in the past, and it's pretty dang decent. Last time I think we saw it was the Petite Miss Black Pet, which already sells for hundreds of mils right now because of that effect. And again, this is a feature that's only going to be available to people who purchase this package that many times, because the Beast Stone is actually not tradable. And once again, we've come back around with the system that is without a doubt pay to win, right? It's a feature that you cannot get unless you pay for this, because you can only get it from buying it from this package. Again, not tradable. So, I kind of talked about this in another podcast, I think episode 3 or 4, where the same thing happened. It was with the Welcome to Hell package. That time was much, much worse than this time, honestly, because that pet had some pay-to-win features that are still, to this day, best in slot. Without a doubt, they're going to be the best once the server increases the level cap to 95, because they have crit and smash mods on them, but it was only pay-to-win. It was the only way you were going to get them. Here is kind of the same kind of thing. It's not as broken as it was for Welcome to Hell, and Welcome to Hell was slightly more expensive, but it's still something that is kind of it leaves a bitter taste in your mouth, because you can't help but claim that it's pay to win, because it's talking about enchantments that you put on pet that you can't get any other way. So it's very shitty, but that's not even the worst of it. The worst of it comes at the 10 purchase mark, and this cycles twice. So yes, 10 and 20 purchase mark, but basically when you purchase this costume package 10 times, you get the Elemental Lord Creature box, which has in it one of the 4 that you can choose: Selene of the Flame, and Dayron the Fleas, Tenebris the Dark, and Luminous the Light. These are elemental pets, and in fact I have one on my Elven Knight right now. You can see clear as day I have Dayron the Freeze. It's actually a magic pet, but I liked it better for my costume. Anyway, this is only available to those who purchase this package 10 times. So yes, that's going to be $320 market value, and I have one on my Elven Knight. Do you know how much I paid for mine? I got it from the summer package back in 2015. It's $27, and much like the pets that come in this package, it was just a regular pet at the time. Its stats has not changed. It's exactly the same pet for $27. Anybody who got a package at the time, every single person who had it would have had this pet. It's not worth the $27 because there was other items in this summer package. So really it was worth a fraction of that was how much I actually paid for this pet. So a fraction of $27 is what I paid for this pet. They're asking $320 for this pet. Like the last copy of a fucking holographic Charizard or something. If I'd have known that, I'd have sealed it up and made sure it was all pristine. I'd have resold this damn thing. What the fuck is in Neople's fucking Kool-Aid that they think that they can charge that much for this pet? There's not really much I can say about this. Somebody at Neople just knows that this pet is highly desirable. We haven't seen this pet since 3 years. We haven't seen head or tail of it. We haven't even seen Tenebris the Dark or Luminous the Light ever. It was never been sold in any other package. We haven't even seen the stats on these pets in any other duplicate pet, any Echo pet. We haven't seen that either. They kind of tried to. The only other time we've seen this, they tried to with the Wild Wild West set, but that pet is largely, very, very largely inferior to any of these Elemental Lord pets because their effect takes so long to activate. So you can't use it as many times in dungeons. It's just not available. It's not as good. It's not as nice. These are obviously the superior pet. But it goes without saying, guys. It's not that I think this is pay to win because, yes, at some point in time in the past, they released this pet for a regular, decent price. It's just the idea that they have coined it so valuable that they're going to charge this much for it. And the real reason I'm worried about this is not the fact that they're going to upmarket this by this much. There's no way it's worth that much. But you know what? The real reason I'm worried about it is because it's tradable now. And you know what that means? Neople knows that this is something that is very, very valuable and people would pay a lot of money for it. Again, the last time we've seen this pet is 300 years. 3 years ago in the summer package. It's the last time we've seen head or tail of this thing. And they're finally re-releasing it for $320. There's the real problem I have with this is there's no way in hell Neople is going to release these pets in a normal package. They can't. How could they release it for $320 and make it tradable if they expected to release this pet in, whenever they decide to release Doppelganger 2, which, by the way, I think in Korea, which is where Tenebrious the Dark and Luminous the Light was released, but we never got Doppelganger 2 for some reason. Neople, what the fuck? Hurry up with Doppelganger 2. But anyway, the pet has not been seen for 3 years. They finally release it for $320. There's no way in hell they're going to release a package with that pet in it. It's going to tank the price of it right now. Nobody's going to want to buy that pet. And the loyal whale customers that paid that much and wanted to sell it for a killing are no longer going to be able to make any money off of it because it's going to be in a package sale and everybody's going to have one. So that's what I'm worried about. That Neople waited 3 years to finally show this thing, slapped a humongous price tag on it, and there's no way now we're going to see this pet in a normal capacity. That's what I'm scared of. That's why I'm frustrated about that. Obviously, this is, right now, definitely worth what it is, but it's just setting a precedent where we're not going to see this pet normally anymore or ever, which is shitty, right? I want this on my Paladin. My Elven Knight has it. I got lucky that I had the foresight to get this pet, and I still think it's one of the best pets in the game, at least in terms of its effect. Fucking Neople. Again, I remind you, this is a extra creature, one creature that you'll have to get 10 of these mediocre packages to get anyway. So yes, I know this is just a bonus item on top of buying 10 other packages, but I would say honestly, if I was just looking at it objectively, it's not even worth that. I wouldn't buy 10 of these packages because that $320 that I was buying in merchandise to get this bonus item probably isn't worth the $320 anyway. So anyway, that's my little rant on it. That's what I'm scared of, that this pet is not going to be seen in a normal capacity because of this event. One last little addendum I want to add to this kind of topic of pay to win is that it's kind of a funny one, but it's kind of true. You guys tell me in the comments below. There's kind of always a discussion. It seems like every time they release a package and there's something in it that, leaning on the pay to win side, people are going to clamor up and they're going to make a big fuss about it, and they want to, we got to show Neople, we got to stick it to Neople and tell them, we're not going to stand for this shit, right? And most MMOs survive today based off of the whale community. So the people who keep the servers running are most of the whales. I want to say, estimating here, 90% of all the sales that go into MMOs come from a very small portion of the player base, and those are the whale player base. So I would say most of us are not in the whale category. They're not going to pay $320 for this, but it's not really what the community as a whole says. It's really what the whales say that kind of determine this. And the whales, I would say, are not the kinds of people that are watching this video. In fact, they probably don't speak very good English. That's what I'm getting at here. And if it's good enough for them, then it's probably good enough for Neople. Now, I've always been in the camp that believes that, player base is very important, and you want to make decisions that are not going to impact your player base in a negative way. So I do believe that they should try to minimize how much things are going to outrage the player base, like removing the Neopremium Plus contract without fucking telling anybody. Don't even make me bring up Pro Aradian, how fucked up that event was. But in terms of the cash sales, I mean, we've seen this trend. We've been pretty much powerless to stop it, and I keep seeing threads like this. Let's petition, let's boycott, and stuff like that. And if I'm being completely honest, guys, we're going to keep seeing threads like this and people clamming up and people talking about it, but I don't see a lot of impact that we can do about it. And I know it might sound like, oh, I'm just conforming to the bullshit and this is exactly why they can get away with it, but honestly, it's more like I don't feel like we have even a dog in the fight. The best I can hope for is that they don't implement items that are completely pay to win, and they've done that on a couple occasions that has been very, very frustrating. I'm talking the pets that nobody can get. So that's really what I'm kind of leaning towards, that, okay, if you want to have all these awesome items and marking them up this crazy value, fine. But don't make it pay to win only, because now we're talking, there's no defending that level of nonsense. That's my main point that I want to make. I don't want to keep talking about this topic every week, so at least you guys know definitively that's my opinion on it. As long as they keep the items that are completely locked behind paywalls, like all of these bonuses, $320 for a pet, as long as they make them available for regular players somehow without spending billions of dollars, then I'm not really going to complain about it. But the second that they release a pet or something that is unavailable in a package, package, or you can't get any other way because you need to get items out of these bonus purchases, that's when I have a problem. That's when this game becomes pay to win. And when they start making that a practice where we're just missing out on items, that's when you're going to lose your player base, and that's when you're honestly going to lose my interest as well. So hopefully this is the last time I'll have to talk about this subject, because it comes up every week and I don't think it's all that worth my time anymore. But alright guys, that is the two of the biggest controversies that we've gotten in DFO actually for a while now, and they're both not good. Obviously, why controversy, and mostly this is in a detriment to Neople. I don't think there's a whole lot of people that are happy about it anyway, but there is something that is good in this. That there was I read a funny comment. They basically said along the lines of, anytime they release something good, they always gotta fuck it up. So we talked about the fuck ups that they had, multiple, and here's something that's really good. In fact, it is. I'm going to say it right now. And I've said this before in the past about a lot of different events. Oh, that was the best event we've ever gotten. Well, I don't think this event will ever be beaten. Ever. In DFO's history. Maybe if this game goes for 20 years and they have a similar jump event. But until then, nothing we've ever gotten before is as good as this event that we've gotten right now. And that is the fantastic jump server. Okay, and I talked about it last week. It was more like speculation talk. Maybe what classes you might wanted to play and what kind of things we would get. I was wrong about a few of those things, mostly because I kind of based my assumption on what was happening in Korea. Turns out DFOG really is a special server, and we've proven yet again that we're pretty dang spoiled, because what we get this time is kind of in preparation for 95 cap. And what they're going to be doing is, of course, we're going to be getting the 85 set we already talked about. We can get the 85 accessory set that we're talking about, as well as Sub-Equip Magic Stone, and they've already given us an epic earring, and that's also pretty decent. I would say it is of epic quality, even though it's just a generic earring. It has stats on it that are comparable to, well, they're pretty much better than most of the legendary, so yeah, it is about epic grade. And of course the level 90 weapon. Those are things we talked about, and we got all of those things. Those are nice. What we did not understand, and this was like mega hype news. Hype for some people. I do know some people that are not hype at all, and they're actually kind of frustrated. We'll talk about that too. But 95 cap is coming, so Neople decided, you know what, let's just go ahead and just give them a chance to upgrade whatever 85 set they get. When they come to the regular server, we're going to give them a recipe to upgrade that set into a 90 set, given that they do enough Antons within the event period. So you really got to capitalize on this now. Okay, if you're listening and you're not in the jump server, get on the jump server, get your character to max level, and then do Anton on that server, solo if you have to, at least until you get 4 Anton Soul Fragments, then jump on the regular server as quick as possible and start doing raids as fast as possible, because that's how you upgrade your 90s. There's more detail to that, but basically you can look that up. That's the strategy right now. Get in there and do it if you want the 90 upgrade. And trust me, you want the 90 upgrade, because it goes without saying, guys. Level 90 set of your choice immediately is, without a doubt, the best event we've ever gotten ever. Most of the time I can kind of put a price tag on how valuable this event is. Oh, we got this item that you can't get in this form. It gives you 15 strength on a slot that you can't get. That's pretty dang good. That's really useful. That's really powerful. Or this reinforcement event, man, I saved hundreds upon hundreds of millions because, it didn't go back to 0, or whatever the case may be. Okay, there you can kind of put a price tag on these things, or how good these events are. Well, I can't possibly put a price tag on how good this event is. I can only put a time tag on how good this is. And I'll just say, I've been playing some of these characters for about a year, and I am not going to get the kinds of things you're going to be able to get on this character in just a few weeks. A year's worth of time and effort, and immediately get a character stronger than all of that. Instantly, of your choosing, one class. And then the other class is good as well. The other class gets to keep an epic level 90 weapon and already get their legendary set automatically given to them for free. So 2 characters you can bring back from the jump server, max level, geared up to shit, and one of them is actually going to be probably stronger than your main, or as strong as your main that you've been playing for years. And that is kind of, I don't want to harp on this, because I've kind of talked to some other people who are very distraught about that, and I can understand why, because it's an undermining of your effort, right? Nobody knew we'd be getting an event this good. Nobody could have ever predicted we'd ever get an event this good, where you can immediately make a character that is stronger than any amount of effort that you've put into another character, which is kind of shitty, right? Because if we'd have known this, maybe if we'd have known about this like a year ago, like, oh, well, 95 cap comes, you'll be able to just make a character and have them all cured out stronger, as strong as it can possibly get, right? I mean, we're talking 90 set. Dude, that is not easy to do. If we'd have known about this in the past, would we have put in any effort on this one particular character? Maybe not your main, but maybe your sub main, your second main, you know? Would I have put any effort into, you know, my striker at all if I knew that this event was coming? No, I'd wait until this event, and then when it came, I'd gear it out with an awesome striker. And so that's kind of why it sucks for people who are veterans, is that they're struggling really hard to choose a character that they want to do this event on. It's much easier if you are new to the game or, you know, have been pretty casual at the game. But for those of us who have been really hardcore, it makes the decision process really, really hard. Not to mention there's a lot of untradeable stuff, a lot of monetary value that is untradeable, and we can't give it to this alternate character. So it's a mess. But that being said, I decided to do a Crusader because it just so happens I have a Crusader, but I made him very particularly a Battle Crusader, and I don't have a Support Satyr. So that's the one I chose to make, a male Support Satyr, which surprisingly, even though I have every character in the game, I did not have any bitch-made support. So here, perfect opportunity for me to make a bitch-made support, which is going to be one of the best characters on my account, surprisingly. So I would say that most people are really excited about this, and there's going to be a small minority of people who are definitely going to feel as though this level, even I kind of agree, this event is too good. It's too good. I don't see why it couldn't have just been the 85 set. Even if it was just 85, honestly, that'd be really, really fucking good, man. But they just took that extra step and rammed it right into fucking our asses, man. They're like, you better eat this character up. You better like this brand new character from this server who's going to be stronger than all your mains. I think there is such a thing as it being too good, honestly. And it's not because I think a lot of people that are kind of disappointed is that they've dumped a lot of effort, and everybody else who is a veteran in this game has put a lot of effort. It sucks knowing that somebody else can get further than that level of effort in about a week or less time. It sucks knowing that, but again, that's like the definition of envy. So we got to watch out for that, and just try to hopefully find a character you don't have already that you want to be as geared as your main. And that's hard to do. I know a lot of people have made several threads on what they want to do, but that revelation with the 90 set has changed the ball game. Trust me when I said, when the news was I was getting 85 set, my thinking process was way different. I was looking more at memes. I was looking more at, you know, what would be fun to play. Now it's serious. Now it's like, dude, we can use this character to seriously boost yourself, this whole account. You can seriously use instead of just for memes or, you know, support or whatever you were going to use it on. Completely changes the game. So be careful on who you pick, and try not to be too envious about the fact that your effort is already undermined, because yes, that is something all of us are feeling, especially the veterans. If you're new, then, you know, make sure you make the right decision. And if you're a vet who's dumped a lot of effort and now you're really fucked because you've already made all the characters you want to play and all of that, trust me, you're not alone. But try to capitalize, try to pick somebody that you don't have already, and make sure that it's somebody that you want to do Luke on, because you're going to be Luke ready with an event like this. Alright guys, the last topic of discussion is something called the 11.7 test server patch, and basically there's a lot of stuff that has happened in this server. Now sadly, as I make this podcast, Metal Plate Mage has not made a recap of all of the changes, but I've got a pretty nice recap from Yukino, who kind of made a bullet point list of all the changes. Basically what it boils down to is a lot of classes got reworked, and synergy has been reworked as well. But the things I want to kind of hone in on are characters who got some quality of life changes or brand new skills. So there's going to be a lot of information, a lot of character rebalancing. I'm only going to touch on the ones that are probably been changed the most, not just arbitrary damage changes and stuff like that, but overall changed the most. And by the way, guys, I'm going to be talking about these classes, but I don't want to rely on the footage because I know these are podcasts. I just want to rely on my voice. So I'm not going to rely on the footage to show you guys. I just want to talk about them and what kind of changes we got, so you guys can at least imagine it without having to look at the screen for a video or anything like that. But that being said, I'm going to link in the description demonstrations by a cool guy I'm subscribed to named Morakune DC, who's doing all of the kind of preview videos, so you guys can check them out at your leisure. First, I'll talk about the female striker since that's the one I'm most interested in. And the shitty thing is, all of those other classes I mentioned actually got new skills to kind of complement their gameplay or shore up some of their deficiencies. Instead, they only changed most of my skills, okay? But this is kind of what I like about these changes and why I wanted to talk about them, is because it's clear that the developers know of issues with these classes and they want to try to fix them. But the main thing with female strikers that I saw, and I'm not going to be really talking about those arbitrary damage increases if they did that, but so the change with the female striker actually is that, first of all, her Shoryuken now has a lot of suction. It doesn't go as high, which is the main reason that skill is not used on most female strikers, is that it just doesn't go well with her chain-like gameplay, and she has hardly or no skills that bring her out of the air, so she has to land back on the ground. It makes it seem as though it's not going as high up into the air, and it has some really, really good suction. It sucks like everybody right there in front of you and makes the rest of your chain actually hit, which that is the main problem with female strikers. She has no AoE. She relies very heavily on making sure that she is placed in the right position to hit all of the enemies on the screen, and most of the time you're going to have to waste several skills on trash moms just because you don't have the range to hit all of them. You're going to waste all these skills, big cooldowns, and cooldowns is kind of an issue on the class. So you get a good suction move, not a new one like all these other classes I'm going to talk about. You get a good suction move now with the Shoryuken. It's easier to cast, and then finally you actually get a lot more AoE and a lot of different skills. Both your Bone Crusher and Ankle Kick and all of these have AoE like rings around them, so when it hits, it has bigger range. I still think that the range to actually hit is still pretty weak, which is the main problem why you're going to see a lot of strikers miss with like Lightning Dance. You'll just miss that 20-second cooldown skill because you have no fucking range to actually connect with it. Same thing with 1-inch punch, but at least hopefully the AoE when you hit an enemy is going to make it easier. Next is the female grappler. She actually got a new skill in turn heal. You can actually use giant swing in turn heal, which basically means you can use the skill without grabbing anybody, which could be a good or bad thing. I know giant swing is a really nice AoE skill. When you actually grab somebody, you can use it to grab everybody. Honestly, it's a really good skill. It might be a nerf, honestly, to have turn heal like kind of cast faster, and it doesn't seem to have as long duration in AoE, so maybe it might be a nerf. But the coolest thing is she actually gets this 2-hit combo that is very, very quick and very slightly puts her into the air, which is a great transition into her aerial throw skills. I'm talking wild cannon spike and any of the skills that she can use in the air. So you don't have to backstep cancel. It's an actual skill. I don't think it's something that you're going to level up very high, keep it level 1 just for utility, but this is big utility. I'm talking you do a 2-hit combo and you're barely over into the air, and then you wild cannon spike or use any of the air skills. It is really awesome. And man, they have been making female grappler fucking cool, man. And honestly, I used to say that female grappler was one of the worst experiences. Well, shit, they have changed female grappler how many times now? And every time they've changed it, it has just been better and better. And now we're talking this is a much more fun character to use. And hey, you can just say I was right. Just admit it, guys. When I shit talked the female grappler back in the day, saying she was the worst character ever, Neople listened, and you can thank me for all the changes that she's getting, which are making her a lot more fun to use. Next, we got Berserker. There's a lot of changes with Berserker. A lot of them arbitrary. Like you can X-string cancel a lot more skills, more damage. You know, I think one big one is the Thirst actually kind of got nerfed since you can't swap into Thirst anymore. It's an active buff instead of a buff that you cast one time. So that's one slight nerf, but everything else is a big buff. You do get one new skill that's kind of like a grab. First of all, Bloodlust can finally be used on ungrabbable enemies. This is one thing that, you know, when I bitched about the Berserker changes way back when I made my Blitz video on Berserker, I bitched that they neutered the class because they made him more, you know, like Azura, like Brain Dead. Like, he used to have to manage his Bloodlust, and I was like, dude, that was one of the coolest things, because Bloodlust gave you strength. You know, they should have kept that about the class. And people were like, no, because if they're ungrabbable, he doesn't do Bloodlust. Well, guess what? I was like, well, easy change. Just make it so that it works on people who can't be grabbed. And sure enough, that's what they did. So Bloodlust can now be used on opponents who can't be grabbed. They still didn't add any extra effects for using Bloodlust. I think they should add back like some kind of skill damage buff for using Bloodlust and enforce force people to keep grabbing enemies like that, because I really like that about the old Berserker, but that whatever. Speaking of grabbing, they got a new grabbing type skill. It's more of like a he grabs an enemy and twists around and then does a big explosion attack out of it, so that's pretty cool. Also, speaking on grabs, they took away Blood Ruin, which was kind of made sense. Well, nobody got Blood Ruin because it was just Bloodlust, whatever, and it was whack anyway. So they got rid of Blood Ruin and instead gave you this kind of grab skill, which is a big AoE and a big explosion attack. So pretty cool. A lot of quality of life stuff. Mountainous Wheel, for instance, actually does damage on the shockwave and instead of the downward slash. So he's just better overall, for sure about that. Minus the slight nerf on the thirst. The next change is going to be coming with the Avenger, and honestly, this is a class that definitely could have benefited from like big reworks, because he hasn't been changed hardly at all since this class. And it's a strong class, don't get me wrong, but it's just like they could do a lot with this guy, and even his second awakening is just kind of whatever. But anyway, they actually removed a key skill with the class. You guys know the Ripper skill? They removed that skill and instead gave him a skill that looks a lot like the Furious Grab, level 15 skill with the little dark hand. It's the same thing, except it's like longer range and faster speed, and it looks like it does more damage. But they removed Ripper for this skill. And I'm like, okay. Ripper seemed to have more AoE. It looked like it grouped better. I mean, maybe. It kind of looks like they do practically the same thing. This skill does come out quicker, and it does look like it does more damage, but that seems like an arbitrary change that they could have just made to Ripper. Ripper's a lot more unique looking skill, and they can just make it do different effects if that was the case. Why'd they have to add this weird ass gross looking hand? Honestly, they probably should have just made this skill as an extra skill and kept Ripper. I don't think that would be a problem. Is just make a new damage skill or new burst skill. Avengers wouldn't complain about that, but this is a weird change. They did change the Smite of Destruction animation, has also been adjusted very slightly, and I do believe he also gets a little bit more AoE on his drop skill, where he jumps in the air and drops down. I think that has a little bit more AoE. Honestly, the changes look very minor on the Avenger, which is kind of a shame. Honestly, it's sad. Now, obviously, there's going to be a ton that is not displayed in the little trailer videos for it, and I'm probably missing a lot of arbitrary changes, but those are mostly minor anyway. The last one is also on a character I really enjoy, and that is the Monk. Mainly two different things. They added a new skill, and this is kind of it has a weird looking animation, but its effectiveness and what it does is awesome. It is the corkscrew punch is kind of unlike Dudley's, where it's a big burst skill. We already kind of have that. This one creates a little vortex that sucks in enemies all to your current location, which is a really good grouping skill. Brand new skill, most likely not for damage, just for utility, and then you can dry out. It's a perfect skill to dry out into, right? Like, I feel like that's kind of the weirdest thing, is that how come they haven't really designed particular skills to kind of work as good precursors to dry out? I always felt that I just kind of throw out skills just because I can, but nothing really sets up really well. I thought I could use the Sidewinder to pull enemies in so I can use a dry out cancel, but even that doesn't work very well as a pulling skill, Sidewinder. I feel like they should have changed that to be better AoE and better suction. Well, now you have a really, really good skill in this Corkscrew Punch, where you can just kind of group enemies up really quick and then dry out immediately into a much stronger skill. So really awesome change there. And then again, to kind of address his weak AoE, they've given much more range onto his Hurricane and Roll, which already is his primary grouping skill because it has pretty good suction, but now it has greater pulling strength and greater AoE. So yet again, another skill that you can use for that. It's kind of a shame though that Hurricane Roll has such a long cooldown, so that you're not going to rely on it as much. But this Corkscrew Punch seems to be a new utility skill, and that's kind of the theme you're kind of seeing, is that they're kind of giving utility to classes that have a little bit hard time on it. In terms of giving them new skills or new cancels and stuff like that. So really like the new change on that. They did remove the Twister of Judgment, but then again, I always felt like that was the dumbest skill in the class anyway. It had nothing to do with how the class plays, and most likely they're probably just going to increase the damage on his skills to justify the nerf of damage or DPS that you're going to lose by the Twisters not being active all the time. But it was such a bad skill. good that they removed that. But anyway, guys, that is all of the news that I got for you guys as of now. This video actually lasted longer than I thought it would be because this is just 3 topics that we got pretty recently and didn't think I could expound on them. But hopefully I can lay to rest some things, especially about the pay-to-win stuff, so we don't have to talk about them anymore. Jump server, big deal. If you're listening right now and you're still not in the jump server, honestly, you should have been leveling your character this whole time during the podcast. Good on you if you are, because you need to be doing that. And again, rip to you guys who didn't get Infinite Neopremium Plus, but I guess this is now the reality. This has already been confirmed. This was intentional, not a bug, that they removed Neopremium contract. Hopefully they go back into there and remove, or at least change the item that's the Terranium, though. What the fuck? You know, I've accepted already that you've removed it, but don't give us Terranium instead. Come on, Neople. But anyway, guys, thanks for watching. There was episode 7 of the Arad Airways podcast, and I will catch you nights later.